My absolute pleasure to introduce a new colleague and a coworker. Reggie Bush has been signed on by Fox Sports. He's going to join Urban Meyer and Brady Quinn and Matt Leinart. I almost said Matt Lauer. And Rob Stone will host. It is the new Fox Saturday pregame show in the fall, 12 Eastern. You're going to be part of what I think is going to be an amazing ensemble of people. You got a Notre Damer. You got your teammate Maddie. Urban Meyer's obviously, to me, Nick Saban and Urban are the two best college coaches in the history of college football. So congratulations. And Fox, you work with the New Orleans Saints, who have a great reputation of treating their players and former players well. I will say the same thing with Fox. Best place I've ever worked. Best management, treat people well. It is interesting. You know, you're going to work with Brady Quinn. He's a Notre Damer. And when I think of you, there's two college games I think of. The Fresno State game, where you were like crazy town. And then the Notre Dame game. I watched that game on my couch in Connecticut, and I literally was nervous. When you were in that game, you're 19 years old. Did you understand? Some say it's the greatest college game ever played. Did you get how big it was?
During the game, no. After the game, I felt all the emotions of winning the game. It was one of the only times I actually cried after the game. Just broke down just in emotions because we had put so much into that game and everything leading up to it, and just the way we won, and just knowing that this, you know, at the end of the day, this was one of the greatest games I had ever played in, and I realized that right after the game. And a lot of great players in that game. That was Zibikowski. Hit me in the back right there. You know, obviously Brady Quinn, but it was just such a great game. And, you know, obviously I'm glad we were on the winning side, but I've also been a part of a great game that we were on the losing side, which is the Texas game, you know. And so that's what's amazing about sports, is just that, you know, you can't predict the outcomes, right? And you just never know. And, again, like you said, that was one of the greatest games I ever played in.
You know, Reggie, the USC stuff for you did not end on the greatest note. The NCAA. How do you reconcile all of it? Have you ever sat down? I mean, because I know you've talked about it before, but
not really in depth, though, in detail.
Not really in detail.
There will be a time and a place for that, though.
Well, let's address something. When I say USC, you got blowback from fans. You're the most exciting player in school history. You're their Mount Rushmore guy. Then you have the NCAA stuff. A lot of pushback from fans. Now you're going to be a college broadcaster. When I say USC to you today, is there love? Is there anxiety? How do you feel about that relationship?
USC will always have a special place in my heart, because I made so many relationships with players who are still some of my best friends to this day, with coaches who are still some of my best friends to this day. You know, people who still work there at the university who I still talk to, and it was a great place for me. It was a great landing spot. You know, it was truly meant to be. I believe that you know, me going there was fate. You know, I believe that it was meant for me to go there. And I go back to the recruiting trip, because I didn't take all my recruiting visits. I had 5, and I only went to Washington was first. I hated it, didn't like it. It was raining and cold. And then I went to USC, and it just felt right. And there was something about the intuition and the feeling in my gut that, you know, this is where I was meant to be. And I committed right there on the spot. And fast forward to a couple years, you know, I was able to win the Heisman Trophy. We were able to play in a lot of great games. You know, I said in high school that I was going to win the Heisman Trophy. So this wasn't something that was just on my mind when I got to USC. This was something I was thinking about and I had put out into the atmosphere long before I got to USC. And it is true that words do have power.
Yeah, you're one of the 5 most popular college players of my lifetime. Tim Tebow.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No, you were. Reggie Bush, Tim Tebow. I say Johnny Manziel. Vince Young was wildly popular.
Yes.
But you're in a very rarefied air when it comes to that. I want to shift to a couple things. I want to shift to the NFL. So, you know, there was some free agency when you played, but it is nuts.
It's crazy.
We have the Jets going out and signing multiple players. What do you make of it? Now, you've been in locker rooms where they bring in a free agent. It doesn't always land well. Sometimes you pay that expensive linebacker. He gets in the room and you're thinking, I'm twice the linebacker. I've been loyal to the organization. And you paid this guy. The Jets brought in 4 players, maybe more. Is that too many free agents?
Well, listen, the Jets got to get better. The Jets struggled last year. I don't know if you watched any of the Jets
All
games,
of them.
but they were not just one player away. Like, they needed a lot more pieces to that puzzle. And so getting a guy like C.J. Mosley, to me, I don't know how the Ravens let him out the building.
He is a dynamic.
He's a beast. And just looking at the Baltimore Ravens defense, it's not there anymore. They're completely gone. Like, Weddle's gone. C.J. Mosley's gone. Terrell Suggs is gone. Like, I don't know how they're going to survive next year in that division. I picked the Browns to win that division, but going back to the Jets, I like what they're doing. I like the aggressive mentality because a lot of the coaches there were on our Super Bowl team. Greg Williams, Joe Vitt, who's a linebackers coach there. So I'm very familiar with these guys, with their character, with their report, and I know that they're getting really, really good coaches, and that's what they need. They need good coaches. They got good players. They got a good young quarterback like Sam Darnold, who has a tremendous upside and a bright future in the league. And so I'm looking forward to seeing how this Jets team plays out next year because I think they're going in the right direction.
C.J. Mosley's a Pro Bowl linebacker. Crowder's a tremendously clever, smart veteran slot guy.
I agree.
And they went and got one of the best guards in the league. They also have, I think, the third pick so they'll have Jamal Adams safety, C.J. Mosley linebacker, Leonard Williams up front. Each unit's got a star, and they are probably going to take the Alabama interior lineman Williams. So that will give them another star. So the Jets look like a substantially better player.
They do.
I want to ask you about Kyler Murray.
Yes.
So when you came into the league, I remember what I said on the air. I said, you were a satellite player. I said, I just want to see Reggie Bush in space. Punt return, kick returners. He's not a between-the-tackle 32-carry guy. I'm like, all I know is Reggie Bush will give me 88 yards a game. I don't care how he gets them, but he'll give me 88 yards. Kyler Murray's one of those players. Not big enough for me. Runs a little bit too much. But it's production. He's productive. Are we getting too caught up in his size, or do you think it could play a factor? You played with a small quarterback, Drew Brees.
I played with Drew Brees, who was a smaller quarterback, and I never felt like he was too short. I never felt any time in the game where there was an issue with his height where I couldn't see him. Now, there were a handful of times where I couldn't see him, when I was running like a 5-yard check down, and there was linemen blocking my vision from seeing him, and all of a sudden the ball would just appear out of nowhere. But Drew plays big. He doesn't play like he's 6 foot. He plays like he's about 6'2", 6'3".
His release point.
And his release point is high, right? And so I think for Kyler Murray, all he's been told his whole career, his whole life probably is that he's too short, right? He's too small. And look how far he's gotten to this point now. And you don't win a Heisman Trophy, you don't get drafted in baseball, and soon to be the #1 pick in football by not having tremendous leadership, tremendous work ethic. All the things that he was kind of getting knocked for in the combine where he went and did some of those interviews. To me, talk to the people who know him. Talk to his head coach. Talk to his family. Talk to the players who play with him because they all say something different. They all say that, no, this guy can play, and he makes the guys around him better. And so to me, when I turn on the film, I see a great player, regardless of his size. I see a guy who can create space with his legs, who can extend plays, and extend plays to the point to where he can find open windows, right? Like if he can't sit back in the pocket and he can move to where he can find that open window.
Yeah, and the other thing about Kyler Murray, the one thing I really like, and it's the one thing, Baker Mayfield kind of wore me out with some of his antics, but I always said with Baker, he can't bust because he throws too good a football. When you watch Kyler Murray throw a football, it's like a real football. Like he puts velocity on it. Guy may be 5'9", but he throws a real NFL football. Finally, and Reggie Bush is here. He is part of our new Fox pregame Saturday college football show, noon Eastern. Urban Meyer, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, Reggie Bush, Rob Stone. And who did I miss out on? Nobody. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be fantastic. I want to ask you about the situation with Russell Westbrook last night. So my takeaway this morning is hockey players are protected by glass. Baseball players and football players by space. The NBA has sold virtually every seat in the building to fans. They've pushed broadcasters upstairs. They've pushed and I think proximity is a major problem in the NBA, and it's getting worse. When you looked at this, did you side with Westbrook? Was there part of you that understood it?
I understood it 100% because if football fans were that close to the field, there would be a lot more fights. I promise you there'd be a lot more fights because I think football fans are some of the worst fans because of the things that they say, because they feel like, they're separated enough to where they can literally just say anything.
By the way, it's Sunday. It's not a work day, so those afternoon games, fans come to tailgate. Exactly. They walk into a stadium lubricated.
And so I side with Russell Westbrook because, for one, fans have gotten to the point to now, especially I've been to a bunch of basketball games where they just feel like they can just say anything to you because they feel like they have an influence on the game, right? And I've always felt like those courtside seats are just too close. Like, I'm surprised that somebody hasn't gotten hurt to the extent of where they're paralyzed, because you see these big basketball players, 6'8", LeBron James is flying full speed at you to dive for a basketball. You can't get out of the way of that. He's 6'8". His length is going to hit about 10 people. So I've always felt like the basketball fans are entirely too close. I think when you look at like college basketball, like March Madness, when I watch, for whatever reason, they're farther from.
Oh, usually, yes.
They're usually farther, right? And so to me, that's the right way to do it, because these fans are too close. You see guys running up to him on the court after games, like, that's not acceptable. And I think the basketball, they got to be more proactive in this. I remember seeing this picture of Joakim Noah when he was leaving. I think he got ejected from the Miami basketball game. And as he's walking out, there's a picture of a lady who was literally flipping him off. And her finger is about this close to his face as he's walking out of the stadium. And Joakim Noah, people know him from being kind of a fiery guy.
Yeah, big energy.
He just kept walking, and he kept walking straight past the lady. And I'll never forget that picture, because I said to my wife, I don't know if I could have handled it as well as he did in that position. Because that was, for one, she was out of pocket, man. I mean, that's just, you can't have that happening and expect a player who was playing in this sport where he's supposed to be aggressive.
And he's already in a heightened emotional space.
Yes.
Walking off the floor.
He just got ejected from the game. You flipping him off this close to his face. She's lucky something worse didn't happen.
By the way, the new show you're on is 11 Eastern. I said noon. The game starts at noon. The show starts at 11 Eastern, right before the noon Eastern games. Reggie Bush, Urban Meyer, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, Rob Stone. Cannot wait.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to help be a part of this show and hopefully help take it to the next level, man. I'm looking forward to it.
We're looking forward to having you. Great to have you as a teammate now. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd, or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.